Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about a very sensitive matter regarding Ilia Topuria, UFC fighter. As you're aware, over the last few weeks, there's been a lot of noise, a lot of things said about him and his family. And recently, Ilia had stepped away from the UFC. He stepped away from combat sports altogether, at least until early 2026 when he might essentially make his return. Now, Ilia actually went on social media and he penned a letter to everybody, to not through any kind of media speculation or through leaks or anything like that, but really penning a letter through his own narrative, through his own words, to be able to explain some of the reasoning behind his decision to step away for personal reasons. And let's kind of take a deep dive into that, guys. Let's kind of walk. I'll kind of walk you through some of the things that were said and some of the things that we're kind of privy to. On December 15th, as you're aware, Topuria released a public statement and pretty much explaining why he wants to step away, right, from competition at least until early of 2026. And more importantly, the reason why he felt that he wanted to stay silent as long as he did, right? And according to him, this wasn't really about avoiding the spotlight or avoiding potential contenders and, other fighters wanting to come after him and his belt. He wasn't ducking anyone from his perspective, but this was more about protecting his family, specifically his children, while legal matters unfolded or are unfolding behind the scenes, right? So eventually he felt silence was doing more harm than good, and so he wanted to kind of come out and talk a little bit about that. And so Topuria actually denies any kind of allegations of domestic abuse. Some of the noise and some of the things that are said about him are pretty nasty, to the point where Bryce Mitchell actually came out and launched a scathing video message about Topuria and calling him all kinds of nasty things. And guys, honestly, when it comes to these kind of things and these kind of issues, I think we need to let it play it out in courts and let's figure out exactly what happened before we make any kind of false accusations about anybody or anyone's career for that matter. I think we need to make sure that we have all the information forehand so that we can make a sound judgment. And at this point right now, there's just a little bit of everything kind of coming from all over the place. So I don't think it's fair for us to be able to prejudge or speculate, especially when it comes to something so personal in somebody's life. And so anyhow, Topuria went on to say that the things that are being said about him publicly do not reflect his character, his image, and it's part of a larger attempt to pressure him financially. And in a statement, he actually claimed that he was threatened with false accusations unless certain financial demands were met. That's a strong statement. He actually describes it as extortion, plain and simple. And he said that he didn't respond emotionally or publicly because he felt that facts would eventually speak louder than headlines. And according to Topuria, those facts already exist, right? So he said that he's actually preserved the evidence, audio messages, witness accounts, even video messages, guys, and everything that he has from what we know has been handed over to judicial authorities and I guess his lawyers, his team. His stance is very, very clear that truth isn't decided online; it's decided by evidence. And so this is interesting, right? Because this all comes after a separation from his wife earlier this year. Something that I believe fans have been noticing quietly through social media, changes long before any statements were made. And people started to pick up on little things, right? Subtle things, wife not being in a lot of these pictures or not wearing a wedding ring, and like the kind of the obvious things, right? And since then, speculation has filled a gap, right? Who he's with, what happened, why he disappeared, And so Topuria actually laid it all on the line. He made it clear that this kind of speculation is exactly why he eventually felt the need to speak his piece, right? And so from a fight, from a fight perspective, he's already acknowledged the reality of the division moving forward without him, at least temporarily. He gave the UFC permission to book fights during his absence, which obviously, as we're aware, it led to the interim lightweight title bout between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. And he's confirmed that decision wasn't forced. It was discussed, agreed upon, and handled directly by UFC leadership. So while he's not complaining right now, the division isn't frozen. He seems fully aware of that, and so look, the most telling part of Topuria's statement wasn't anger or defensiveness. It was really about resolve, right? And he says that he's kind of stepping forward, not just for himself, but to show that people shouldn't really cave to intimidation or manipulation. Now, what exactly that means, one can only speculate, guys. One can only, if you read between the lines, there's obviously a lot of things that he feels have been done to him to try to manipulate or extort, to the point where he gives money for some of these things to go away, and he didn't want that, and he felt intimidated by it. He felt there was a lot of manipulation, and for that he believes in the legal system, and the legal system is there for a reason, and that character isn't proven by shouting who's the loudest. It's about proving through evidence, right? So these are all things that are kind of coming through him, right? He also made it very clear that this will be his last public statement on the matter, and for obvious reasons, because he doesn't want to jeopardize if this is going through some kind of litigation or some kind of civil, process involving lawyers and legal teams. The last thing he wants to do is say something that could be used against him, of course. So he doesn't want to do any interviews, no social medias, no back and forth, and talking online with anyone. He's asked for privacy, right? That's what he wants right now. He asked for privacy for his family, and he says that everything else will be handled legally. And I think we have to respect that. I think that's important. The truth essentially ended with the line that sums up his entire position, right? And so he said that the truth doesn't require volume, it requires facts, right? So now the conversation is going to shift away from speculation, and now it's going to shift towards where's that evidence, what kind of information do we have to be able to verify and validate the things that Topuria is talking about. So let me read the full statement. So let's read the full statement. Over the past several weeks, I made the difficult decision to temporarily step away from defending my title. This was not a decision I took lightly. However, when circumstances arise that threaten your personal integrity, your family, and your reputation, there comes a point when you must address them directly. In recent months, I have been subjected to severe and unacceptable pressure, including threats to disseminate false allegations of domestic abuse unless financial demands were met. These allegations are entirely unfounded. The truth is not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of evidence. All relevant evidence has been carefully preserved and documented, including audio recordings, written communications, witness statements, and video material. The evidence has been submitted to the appropriate judicial authorities in order to pursue legal action for attempted extortion, falsification of evidence, misappropriation of funds and personal property, and multiple threats. My initial decision to remain silent was made solely to protect my children, who are the most important part of my life. However, I have come to understand that silence under these circumstances does not protect the truth. It allows false narratives to take hold. He's kind of right about that, because there's a lot of things that are being said right now about Topuria, calling him like a wife beater and all kinds of things. So I really hope that there's evidence there to validate what Topuria is saying. So let me read on here. Many individuals have faced similar situations in time. Again, the legal system has ultimately clarified the facts. Today, I'm stepping forward not only for my family and myself, but also to demonstrate that no one should be forced to yield to intimidation, manipulation, or fear. Those who know me can attest that I have never engaged in violence of any kind, and that my life and career have always been guided by discipline, respect, and integrity. I have full confidence in judicial process and will allow the legal system to determine the facts based on evidence. Out of respect for my children and the ongoing legal proceedings, I will not be making any further public statements. I respectfully ask that speculation be avoided and that my family's privacy be honored during this sensitive time. The truth does not require volume. It requires facts. Thank you, Ilia Topuria. So there you have it, guys. There's some very sensitive words, very personal statement from Ilia Topuria. This is it's shocking that he has to leave under these circumstances. I really hope that his family can find peace at this time. The most important thing is I hope that the evidence speaks volumes and validates Ilia Topuria's claims. Yeah, as it stands, the fights will continue, and hopefully for Ilia and his family, they'll be able to get the justice that they're looking for. At this point right now, there's a lot of people saying a lot of things. Chael Sonnen, for example, just spoke recently saying that he believes that the UFC may have no choice but to strip Ilia Topuria of his championship, of his title. And so, look, Ilia is undefeated right now, guys. He's 17-0, 9-0 inside the UFC. And, for him to take this extended time off, it does put the division in some kind of limbo. That said, Justin Gaethje is going to be taking on Paddy the Baddy. They're going to be fighting. And so, look, I don't think the division is stopping. I think right now everything kind of revolves around whether or not Ilia is going to be able to come back to the UFC. And if he does, and if and when he does, what kind of situation is he going to be in? What kind of shape is he going to be in? This absence already, it's changing things. UFC 324 already has a main event. Are people like in this? It puts things into perspective, guys, because these ongoing legal issues that he's been having, allegations of domestic abuse, from his ex-wife, a situation that Topuria feels that it's just getting too much for him to handle. And so Chael Sonnen was on the Ariel Helwani show not too long ago. He revealed that somebody very, very influential in the industry actually revealed to him privately that Topuria should be stripped of his belt entirely. And so, Chael didn't really like the idea at first. He called it very cold, and but after thinking it through, he admitted that that argument might actually make a lot of sense. So that said, what makes this really complicated is that Sonnen clearly sympathizes with Topuria. He's empathetic with the situation. He says that he's on Ilia's side right now. He believes he's innocent, and he describes him as a very good guy. And that wouldn't really be, you wouldn't really associate him with the kind of things that he's being accused of, right? But at the same time, he has a responsibility to his title. He has a responsibility to the organization that he fights for, the UFC. And so pressure is mounting, and more voices are going to be speaking, and they're going to be louder and louder and louder. So whether the UFC officially strips him or not, that's going to be one thing. But the lightweight division isn't going to stand still. And so right now the question comes down to is, does the belt belong to the champion or to the fighter who can actually defend it? So there you have it, guys. I'll try to bring you up to speed with more updates as it becomes available. For now, we'll have to see how this plays out. I want to thank you guys for sticking around. Please smash a like and subscribe for real fight talk like this, and I look forward to catching you guys on the next one.